Drones have become a very important part of the modern era, capturing footage that never would have been possible just a couple years ago. They're able to fly much closer to the ground than airplanes while still catching the same sort of aerial shots, which has turned out to be a very valuable niche of videography. Some of the things captured in this way, however, have left people and scientists alike scratching their head at what they're looking at. From unexplained perfectly round sinkholes to a mysterious village shaped like a man, there are many crazy things captured. Make sure to stick around until the end. You don't want to miss out on a police drone being used to arrest a murderer. Here are 15 moments when a drone captured something that no one was supposed to see. Number 15. Man missing and found by drone. Peter Pugh, aged 75, sparked a massive search after he vanished during a walk with his family on a beach in Brancaster, Norfolk. He was with his family one moment, and when they looked away for just a second, he vanished without their knowledge. They spent hours attempting to find him before contacting police, who immediately sent out drones into the area to begin searching. They found him collapsed in a sea of thick reeds almost a day after he disappeared. Collapsed in a field and breathing shallowly, but very much alive. It's likely he sought warmth in the reeds during the cold night, and it's lucky that he was able to survive throughout it. This is only one case out of many in which police have been able to locate a missing person through the use of a drone.
Deputies in North Carolina use a drone to help find a missing woman. An 81-year-old woman whose dementia disappeared from Asheboro, North Carolina on Sunday morning,
which showcases just how much potential they have in the field of search and rescue. Hopefully, they'll continue to be put to such good use in the future. Number 14. Crop circles seen from overhead. Crop circles are not a particularly new phenomenon, but seeing them from a drone's point of view certainly is. They're obviously quite a controversial thing, and it's hard to know which of these are real and which ones are created by farmers or other people looking for attention.
This is what it looks like right here. You might be familiar with this one. Got the different circles.
The point, however, is to showcase how massive some of them really are and how detailed some of the shapes have really become over the years. The most bizarre crop circles are those that are actually perfect circles. It's nearly impossible for a person to judge what'll be a perfect circle from the ground. It would be difficult to have that level of detail by breaking crops by hand, and any sort of machinery would likely be noticed. Many of these circles have been spotted in Wiltshire as of late, and the complexity of them makes it hard to believe that many of them were created by human beings alone.
You're watching an extreme sport in the making.
Number 13. The world's first drone base jump. In the world of base jumping, there are generally only 4 things that people jump from. They're right there in the acronym of the name: buildings, antennas, spans, and earth. Those are the 4 things generally included in base jumping, which involves leaping from them and floating back down towards the ground using a parachute.
3, 2, 1.
As you can see in this footage, the first base jump from a drone was recently performed, which poses a large question about the future of the sport. Does this actually count as a base jump, considering the sport has historically involved fixed objects? Do drones count as fixed, considering how they can remain in the air? Or are they in the same realm as planes, which they don't count for the sport? Either way, it's a momentous occasion regardless, considering nobody has ever parachuted from a drone before. So it's cool to see that it's finally been accomplished. Number 12. Perfectly round sinkholes. Recently, throughout the country of Turkey, sinkholes have been opening up with incredibly odd, almost perfectly round shapes. They've been primarily reported on farmland where the ground gives way and many crops important to the farmer's livelihood are lost or ruined almost immediately. People have been attempting to figure out why this is happening for months now, and the most widely accepted hypothesis is that it has something to do with the 3-year-long drought that Turkey has been going through. Farmers have been forced to pull water from deep underground, tapping into wells and draining the groundwater much faster than expected. This leaves empty space underground, which many believe is the cause for these Turkish sinkholes. Aquifers are generally very circular in shape, and therefore the draining of one would result in these odd circular-shaped sinkholes. Hopefully, the drought will end soon enough so that the farmers can stop worrying about their ground giving way.
Near the town of San Quentin, was where Mexican soldiers discovered in 2011 the largest marijuana plantation in the country's history.
Number 11. World's biggest drug plantation. The world's largest drug plantation has recently been found in Mexico within the Baja California desert. It's an absolutely massive structure, measuring more than 300 acres in area. Every single square foot of that area is taken up by marijuana plants. And as you can see, the large green expanse in the desert definitely stands out. One can only think about how they got the water out there to ensure the plants stayed alive, or how many people it took to maintain them. Most believe that this specific plantation has something to do with the Sinaloa cartel, run by the infamous Joaquin El Chapo Guzman. It's the largest farm of marijuana on the entire planet and was discovered by a police drone making rounds in the area. Since its discovery, it's been seized and destroyed by Mexican law enforcement, but nobody has directly come forward to claim it was their work. And that makes sense, of course. Anyone admitting to working within that plantation would be sentenced to prison almost immediately, so there's very little chance that we'll ever fully understand what was going on there.
Get out of the car! Go down! Get out of the car! Okay, get it out!
Number 10. Drone flies into tornado. Storm chasers have existed ever since humanity began to show interest in storms. But as technology has advanced through time, the methods of chasing after them have advanced as well. It started out with the advent of cars.
Oh God, it's coming right on top of me! It's coming right on top of me!
Which allowed people to chase after storms faster than ever before. This has, of course, resulted in numerous deaths of people getting swept up by tornadoes and hurricanes.
I don't know what to do. Except die.
But nevertheless, these adrenaline junkies continue to go after them like maniacs. Drones are just the newest piece of technology that has allowed storm chasers to continue in their thrill hunting. But this time, it actually made the act safer for them. Drones allow the chasers to remain far away, but watch through the lens of the camera, effectively giving them a window into the eye of the storm.
Getting closer to it. Oh man, if only the rain wasn't hitting the lens.
This footage showcases a drone flying directly into a tornado, which is obviously not the best idea for the well-being of the drone, but at least it's not a person. Despite the damage that was undoubtedly done to the drone, there is a lot of interesting footage that comes from things like this, all thanks to the storm chasers. Number 9. The bike graveyards of China. China is an absolutely massive country with a population of over 1 billion people. Because of this, and due to how close the people within the country generally live, it was inevitable that congestion within the largest cities would become a problem. To solve this, China began to push people to use bicycles rather than cars, and as such, the number of bicycles in the country rose dramatically. Bike sharing is a concept in which bikes are left on racks throughout a city for people to rent, generally for a small fee. These bikes can then be left at any other renting rack in the city. This service became incredibly popular in many Chinese cities, leading to the massive expansion of the industry. However, the expansion happened too fast, and eventually there were too many bikes in the city, and authorities began to impound them. Eventually, they were all taken to giant heaps, and these so-called bicycle graveyards are incredibly creepy to observe. Number 8. The creepy black-eyed girl at Cannock Chase. This particular entry is for those who are more paranormally minded. Though even if you don't believe in the supernatural, it can't be argued that the black-eyed girl caught on camera by this drone is creepy in all regards. She fits perfectly well with a common myth known in the area she was filmed in, being the city of Cannock Chase. The myth is that of the black-eyed children, which spread rapidly across the internet several years ago. Records of these children go back several decades in the region, with one account sharing that a man and his wife were moving through the woods when they heard the giggle of what sounded like a little girl. She emerged out of nowhere with completely black eyes, and the couple ran for their lives. The footage you're seeing now definitely showcases a girl with black eyes. The drone focuses on her just long enough to make out that detail. She's also wearing a white dress and decides to duck out of the way when noticed.
This CCTV captures the shocking moment a sinkhole swallows 8 rare Corvettes at a car museum in Kentucky.
Number 7. Sinkhole swallows vintage cars. If you're a fan of vintage cars, then you're likely to hate the footage that's on your screen right now. A drone was able to capture the aftermath of a massive sinkhole that opened up underneath a sports car museum in the US state of Kentucky. The initial footage of the incident shows the hole opening and swallowing 8 beautiful vintage Corvettes, which is enough to make anybody cry. The Bowling Green Fire Department estimated the size of the sinkhole to be about 40 feet wide and 30 feet deep. The hole is in the Sky Dome area of the museum, and that area has remained closed to the public for several months as officials investigate the incident. At the very least, the cars were all owned by the museum and weren't on loan like many of the other cars. But it's still a tragedy to see such beautiful cars being swallowed up by the earth. Bowling Green is the only location in the United States where the company General Motors actually manufactures the Corvette, so it's a terrible but ironic loss to see this in the car's hometown. Number 6. Drones zip through abandoned coal factory. Drones have been used for a lot of things since their inception, and oftentimes the things caught on their cameras were created by humans and lost to time. That's the case in the footage you're watching now, where drones are racing rapidly through an abandoned coal factory. The pilot of the drones wears special goggles that allows them to see through the drone's camera, which gives them a sense of being connected to the technology. This drone racing has quickly picked up popularity and is on the way to become a genuine competitive sport. The coal mine is a particularly interesting course because it provides so many obstacles that were never intended to be referred to as such. They were just pieces of equipment that served their purpose and then were left to rust. Using the factory as a racing track breathes new life into it, both for the racer and for the people who are watching the footage later on. Before we go on, like this video, smash that subscribe button, and click the notification bell right now, or this centipede will crawl on your face while you're sleeping. It's time for today's subscriber pick. This bizarre photograph was submitted to us saying that it was taken in a river in Arkansas and that the drone never came back from its flight. The creature in the water looks humanoid and may be a man dressed up in a sort of costume, but that leads to the question of why he would be out there. The overly long appendages are another oddity. Why are they extended to such a degree? Is the creature holding 2 long items in its hands, or are these actually a part of its arms? What sort of creature do you believe this is? Could it be a man dressed up like a creepy person in the woods, or is this something more foreboding? Remember to comment down below with the hashtag subscriberpick and let us know what you think. Now, on to the next topic. Number 5. The Volcanoes of Vanuatu. The island of Vanuatu is more than 3,000 kilometers from the coast of Australia. But even so, the emergency response teams within the country are always prepared for any sign of shock coming from the faraway island.
As of May 8, 2022, there are 52 volcanoes actively erupting on the planet. One of these erupting volcanoes is Tofua in the nation of Tonga, which has been erupting continuously since October 2nd of 2015.
It contains some of the world's most continually active volcanoes, and drones have been flown over them in order to record the activity and magma expulsions of the volcanoes. It's actually possible to get quite close to the peaks of these volcanoes in nothing but normal clothing, with many people having reported climbing up in nothing but a basic jacket and pants. Far below, however, the magma rumbles and bubbles, and drones are flown down low in order to record what's actually happening down there in the depths. Officials in Australia believe these volcanoes could erupt at any time within the next couple of decades, though it can be incredibly difficult to figure out exactly when an eruption will occur. They always have seismometers trained towards the island just to make sure that if an earthquake ever comes their way, they're able to react and are prepared for the shock that'll be coming afterwards. Number 4. Moments after explosion. The footage you're seeing right now may look like it comes out of some sort of apocalyptic wasteland, and for the people that experienced the explosion, it likely feels that way as well. Drone shots reveal the scale of destruction after 2 massive explosions in Tianjin, China. At least 44 people were killed, with 12 of them being firefighters. Hospitals were immediately slammed with an influx of patients, as more than 500 people were injured in the 2 blasts. It's not exactly defined what caused the explosions, but it's believed that they happened when a shipment of explosives being stored in a container detonated by mistake. It's a terrible tragedy, and the people within the city were all terrified, thinking that a war had come to their city. With the way that China had been treating its foreign policy at the time, it wasn't a surprise as to why they thought that way. The footage truly does look like something from a horror movie and shows just how terrifying explosions can be when they're held in the wrong hands or if they go off accidentally. Number 3. Village shaped like a man. A small town on the island of Sicily in Italy was recently photographed from above by a drone, and its 5-pointed star of a shape has been compared to that of a man. The city, known as Centurip, has been said to eerily resemble the shape of a human body, despite the fact that those who made it couldn't possibly have planned such a massive endeavor during the time of its construction. The village is built in an odd way across the top of a mountain, where it's densely packed with houses going up and down towards the summit. It was only recently discovered to look like a human because of a local drone operator, who was testing out a new piece of equipment when he flew over the village. Nobody knows how the people who planned it could have planned the placement to such a degree that it resembled a human. Did they have help from above, or perhaps some sort of aid from the future? It's impossible to tell. Number 2. A snowy nuclear wasteland. The footage that you're currently watching might look peaceful to most, with some even believing it to be relaxing. The truth of the matter, however, is that the city on screen underwent one of the most terrible tragedies to ever grace the surface of our planet. You're currently watching footage of Pripyat, Ukraine, which is one of the cities most affected by the Chernobyl nuclear disaster. Pripyat was founded in 1970 to serve the Chernobyl power plant, so that the workers didn't have to experience such a massive commute from other farther cities. The Chernobyl incident, of course, is one of the most well-known nuclear disasters in the world, as it wiped out massive portions of Ukraine, Belarus, and Russia. It contaminated hundreds of miles of land that are still considered unsafe to live within, and Pripyat is a great example of this. Although it may seem beautiful to the eye, it's incredibly toxic to human beings, and anybody within the city would develop radiation poisoning within a couple of hours, if not sooner. This snowy footage is a stark reminder of how much damage human beings are capable of doing to the world. Number 1. Police drone used to arrest murderer. Police drones are now pretty widely recognized to be a thing, and they've been mentioned a couple times in the previous topics in this video. However, they've never been used like they have here, when drones infiltrated a known shooter's house to distract him from the police entering through a separate entrance. Drones have been used to search for people before, but they've never been used in order to actually arrest a suspect. This was an unprecedented use of the technology. It has, of course, been the subject of much controversy. Many believe that it's unfair to use drones to catch suspects, especially if those drones ever become armed. Others believe that it would be the perfect use of the technology, because it could keep the officers safe, and with nobody else in the room for the suspect to hurt, it could result in more peaceful de-escalations of dangerous situations. In this instance, a 30-year-old man was escorted out of his house and taken to Fulton County Jail in Atlanta. He was wanted for the shooting of Thomas Jefferson Baird and will be facing trial for the murder as soon as possible. Having a drone search through the house to keep an officer safe is an incredible push forward in law enforcement technology, because many officers throughout the years have been killed by people hiding in wait within a house. Hopefully, this advent in technology will allow for a more peaceful future, rather than a more violent one. Which of these things do you think is the most terrifying? Do you think that drones are going to become more prevalent in the next couple of years? Tell us in the comments down below. If you enjoyed the video, make sure to like and subscribe. It helps us understand what kind of videos you like to watch, and that way we can tell what kind of stuff to make for you next. Tap that bell icon so you're always notified when we upload something new, and we look forward to seeing you in the next one.